All right.
Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott. The program is called Can We Talk? We come to you every week, and we are a program that actually gives you a lot of information about buying a house, selling a house, what's happening in the economy. A lot of things have been happening, and I'm here with my host, which is Charles Scott Jr.
How you guys doing? I'm the co-host, and hello viewers. How you doing today? Like I said, every episode we watch, go back, look at some old episodes on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We have a lot of episodes. I think we probably are approaching 100 this year. But like I said, it's like my father said, it's a show not just about real estate, about what's going around the world, because whatever affects the economy affects real estate.
And there's a lot of things that are affecting real estate right now in the worldwide economy. You know, the world has been made smaller with the advent of the internet, with the advent of global finances, and
Correct.
the what do you call it? Even the COVID made it so that people have to cooperate with each other, and a lot of the information going back and forth, something that happens in a country 5,000 miles away, real time happens here. It's not like, years ago. It's not horse and buggy anymore. With the advent of the internet and information out there, things affect every one of us.
Yeah, COVID actually boosted things up. Without COVID, the fact that people shop more online, like mortgages, everything's done online now, kind of boosted us up about 3 to 4 years. So although it was 2025, we're living the internet and stuff like that. It's like it's 2030.
Well, like I said, some of the things that are affecting, real estate, we'll talk a little bit about real estate today and some of the things that are affecting it real time, what's happening with the prices, what's happened in the last, since the last segment that we talked about. We're going to get into some of that and some tips as to what you can do. I know we're at the beginning of the year cycle, income tax returns are coming in. People are going to be holding some money that probably the most money they ever held since the advent of COVID, when everybody got those $2,000 and $4,000 checks in their hands.
Well, I always tell people back in our December, November episodes, as you approach January, February, March, April, you're going to see those commercials for the furniture markets, car dealerships and stuff. They want you to spend the money with them because they know you're getting a good chunk of cash, and then you can put that as a down payment, whether your credit's good or not. But people don't realize, why not use that money for a down payment on a house? Because you realize as the years go by, your rent isn't really going down, is it? And if it is staying the same, it's only a matter of time before everyone calls about that good landlord.
Everybody.
He sells the house, and now you have to start with a new landlord who's going to increase the rent.
I remember last year when we were talking about this time, and a lot of the income tax returns are coming in, and you had car dealers that were offering to do your income tax for you. In other words, they were providing tax services right in their dealerships. Come in, do your income tax for free. Sit right down here. Sit down here, and you can, we'll do your income tax for you, and then go into the other office over there, and you can buy the car, and the check will come to us, and as your down payment, and here's the keys to the car.
How about that? You'll start seeing mortgage companies doing tax returns soon.
I don't know about that. But the thing about it is that we're trying to say to you, if you're coming into some money, and your credit's pretty good, and you got that money coming in, you can put that money together with some other money that maybe there's a home buying program out there, and sort of parlay it into being able to get out of that rental and into a home. A lot of people move between January, February, March, and April, because years ago when they got that income tax, they used that as a down payment on their apartment. So that a lot of leases come due right around now. Where so if you a lot of times people come to us and they say, well, I'm thinking I don't want to go back into a lease. My rent started out 5 years ago. It was $1,100. Now it's up to $2,500 a month.
Yeah, I get those calls every day. And it makes sense because remember, these landlords are buying these houses at a higher price, which means their mortgage is going to be higher. Your landlord right now may be charging you a lower rent because he's owned the building since 1991 and he has no mortgage maybe. But you realize the new landlord is going to have a mortgage to pay, and they usually want the rents to cover it.
You showed me an article today. As a matter of fact, it said that Bridgeport is one of the top cities, and most of the cities in the East Coast are some of the top cities that are income, I can put it, strained as far as rentals because of the amount of money that people make and what the rents are. So, being Bridgeport, Fairfield County, Hartford, up and coming, these Connecticut cities, where the rents have really gone up a lot, made it difficult for many people to rent. So it's hard to save.
I will say most of my customers that call me looking for my apartments are now New Yorkers. A lot of New Yorkers coming into the city, into the county, because you got to fill out what they're feeling. Imagine the rents in New York, where a one bedroom can cost as much as $3,000 a month.
Wow, one bedroom, $3,000 a month. When you look at that real time, 3,000 times 12 months, that's $36,000 to rent a one bedroom apartment. That's like unheard of. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, that's what they say on the phone too. Then they come to Bridgeport and they say, Bridgeport, for $3,000, I can rent an entire house.
You get the whole house.
Or I can rent a half a duplex. Whereas the person who's living in that duplex right now is saying, I've been paying $1,200 since 2011. So they're going to be in for a rude awakening when the new owner comes in and increases the rent to $3,000. So what we're seeing is like a shift of movement of people actually from one city to the next. And you'll see the people from Bridgeport moving up to Seymour and Sonia, Derby, and it has a ripple effect.
Now, one of the things also we've been talking about is, if you're looking to sell a house, some of the things that you can do, you can, give us a call. The number's right down there, because now is a very good time to sell. It's like stocks. Stocks go up and down, up and down, up and down. So does real estate. Right now is an excellent time if you're looking to sell a property. And, people sell for different reasons. I have a letter that goes out in some cases and it says, why should you sell your house? Well, a lot of times in the past, there's a probate. Probate is a big thing where people maybe have gotten older. I have a lot of people that have maybe bought a big colonial back in the past. Big steps, you got to go up 2 flights of steps to get upstairs to the second floor of the attic, up and down the steps. As you get older, your legs get a little wobbly, and heaven forbid, maybe your grandma, grandpa's in a wheelchair, and you can't go up and down all of those steps.
Yep.
So they need something all on one level. We have people that actually may sell a property that's got steps so that they can get a ranch all on one level. It's a lot more convenient when you just walk in the house and walk right straight to the bedroom without having to go up all of these steps to get upstairs.
Well, we're seeing that a lot also. People are selling their house because they realize, or maybe they don't realize, in this market right now, it's a seller's market still. You can sell a house as is. That's what we're seeing, as is. You don't have to go. People don't sell a house, they feel like, oh, this house, who would want this house? Not realizing they're sitting in a mansion compared to somebody, let's say, coming from a different state like New York. They'll go in your house and say, wow, you have a front yard, a backyard, a pool. But you've been there for about 15, 20 years. You haven't fixed anything. The kitchen's still dated. You don't realize in this market, you put as is, which means I'm not fixing nothing. People will still come at you and say, oh, well, I'll still pay for you.
Right. You just took my thunder. I was going to come into that next. You do not have to do a lot of fixing up in order to sell your house.
Not at all.
Matter of fact, I would advise against going in and remodeling your house just to sell it. Many reasons. Number one, you may have in your mind what you want to do and the color schemes that you want and what you want to put in there, and you spend all of this money, and people moving in may not like what you did.
Yeah, they're going to paint it back white or put it back to the default settings.
They don't like the appliances. They may not like the countertop, the color of the way you positioned everything. So what you're putting in there, and you want to make more money, you are actually fighting against yourself, because you want to charge more, they want to pay you less. It's better to just leave it the way it is. I mean, you can fix minor stuff. I mean, if you got a broken window, naturally, that's not a lot of money. If you got a broken door and the doorknob doesn't work, or
you can paint stuff like that.
Small things, I would say yes. Small things will add value, but don't go doing any major
Don't repave the driveway.
Exactly.
People always say, should I repave my driveway?
No, don't do that.
Well, be in more debt, I wouldn't do it though.
No.
Or remodel the entire bathroom, or
No.
finish the basement. So, unless the basement already has the pegs up and you're halfway there.
Don't even put a new roof on.
Don't even put in the roof. So as is.
Sell it as is. You know, because you're spending all of this money, which is going to add to a little bit of value, but not a lot of value. And the value that you may want to charge $30,000-$40,000 more for the repairs that you did. You're better off giving that $30,000 or $40,000 in a discount to the buyer.
Oh yeah.
That way you'll be able to sell the house a lot quicker, and the buyer will have an opportunity to fix it up himself. Maybe the buyer's got a cousin or a nephew who does that kind of work. What you paid $30,000 for, that buyer might be able to get it done for $10,000. So they're not willing to pay you all the money that you spent. So mainly it's better to, you know, sell it the way it is, unless there's some small minor things that have to be done. If the furnace is busted and it's not working, and it doesn't cost that much to fix it, you know, fix the furnace, because you're going to get more buyers than to not fix it, as long as it's not, you know, a ton of money to fix it.
I also want to point out something you just pointed out. Remember, when you try to sell a house, whether you're selling it by yourself or, as I said, you should choose a realtor to help you. Remember, if you have a professional like a realtor helping you, listen to what they're telling you as far as the price goes. You may have a price in your head. You may have the Zillow estimate looking at you in the face. But remember, listen to your expert, because he's going to see the market every day. And I'll say one thing that will be the most honest telling fact is the market. If you price a house out here a little bit too high and you're waiting for that line of people to be out your door, you don't see a line, then the market just told you might be overpriced. That still exists in this market, overpriced houses.
I'd say the biggest detriment we get if a property does not sell is because of price. Everything is price. You know, and then the inverse of that is that every property will sell if it's priced at the right price.
Yep.
You know, it's like they say everybody's got a price. People say, oh, I'm not selling my house. But if you say, well, what would you sell it at? Then they come back with a price.
Oh, they always got a price.
So everybody has a price that they would sell it for. But again, you know, you got to be able to price your property right. What's better if you price it up in the sky and no one even bothers to even look at it? Because one of the biggest problems you can do, or the biggest things you can do, is price it to the point of where no one even gets to get inside to see it. You may say, oh, this is a beautiful house. Wait till they get in and they see this house. I did this, I did that. I've got all these improvements in here. But now if you price the house too high, they're not even going to come in. They're going to bypass that.
Oh, yeah.
The way real estate works is like, if you go into a real estate agent, he's going to ask you, well, what are you pre-approved for? So let's say that person's pre-approved for $400,000 and you want $450,000, $500,000. Well, they're not even going to look at your house because it's not within their price range. Maybe if they got in and they looked at it, then they'd figure out how to get the extra money. But they're not even going to look, because when they put the price range in the computer, that eliminates your property right away.
Yeah, it won't even come up in the search results. I also want to mention that when your house is out there on the MLS, it's going to be on every single Zillow app, every single Redfin app, every single Realtor app. So everyone's going to be able to see your house. I mean, some people try to say, well, maybe the house wasn't marketed well enough. Remember, the price of your house is the market, as far as that's going to be your advertising, whether you have a good deal or a bad deal. I recommend my clients listen to the realtor, listen to me, and try to market it reasonably. And even like he said, maybe market it or put the price a little bit lower than what that market is showing, because then you'll get a lot of more people. It might be a bidding war that gets you back up to where you wanted to be in the first place.
I mean, speaking of that, I haven't watched them lately, but they had the the rehabbers on TV, and they would go buy houses in Florida and all over the country, and they would make them really, really look nice, and they would purposely price them low. And they know that what's going to happen is that when all the people come running, the bidding wars would start, and they would actually sell for more because everybody would see it and say, oh, this property here is really beautiful. I don't know why I'm going to offer more, because I know the guy next to me, he's going to offer probably less than me. So they still end up selling the property for more money because people buying it know the value. Everything has value, and the value is going to be determined by what somebody's willing to pay for your house.
Now, what I think is some people are scared. They don't realize when you put a house on the market, it's still your house. I mean, people think when they put their house on the market, they have to sell it. Like, you can be presented 10 offers. You can say no to all of them as long as you find a reason to. It's like they can come in asking, below asking. You're not being twisted. Your arm isn't being twisted, so you have to sell your house. Now, if you sign a contract, that's different. Now you're under contract saying that you want to sell the house. But yeah, some people put their house on the market, test the waters. Remember, if you don't like any of these offers, we can take it off, easily take it off the market.
Exactly. So, one of the things, a good telltale sign is that sometimes when you see properties that are on the market and they're for sale, and whenever a real estate agent sells a property, if that real estate agent is one of the owners of the property, they have to give that out in disclosure. They have to put in the listing that this property is being sold by an agent owner. We can't sell a property and say, oh, we've got to go talk to the owner, and you are the owner. It has to be disclosed. But if you look at listings on the multiple listing or properties that are for sale, most of the realtors have the lowest prices on their properties that are selling their properties because they know I want to sell the property and I'm going to make it available and I'm going to make it worthwhile for the buyer to buy it. So they will actually sell their house, and this is a real estate agent, will sell his house for less money than most of the people in the general public. You would think it would be the other way around, but the real estate agent realizes this is the value, this is what it's worth, and this is what I'm selling it for.
Oh, yeah, we see that a lot. That is a law. If a real estate agent is affiliated with the owner, owns a piece of the house, he must disclose that. That's a good thing you just said there. People don't realize that.
Yeah, so the real estate agent is going to sell the property for what the market property value is. Here's another thing. Look at the other side of that. One of the worst things you could do is price your property so high no one looks at it, number one, and now it stays on the market for a long time. So what'll happen is that people always come to me and they say, well, how much are they asking for that property? How long has it been on the market? They feel as though, well, the longer it's been on the market, the more
something must be wrong with it.
Something must be wrong with it, or they'll take less money, which is actually true.
Oh yeah, maybe the price was too high, and when people see the price reduction, and then they go back in the house, they say, oh, maybe we can get them to reduce it even more. So it's better to come out just with the right price from the get-go. But once you start showing weakness and start cutting the price, people may start undercutting you.
Yeah, like what you said, the main point. Listen to the real estate agent, listen to the professional, because the real estate agent, number one, he's got a motive to sell the property. He wants the property to sell. He doesn't want the property to just sit there. And because unfortunately, here's what the real estate agent is up against. You may list the property, and let's say you've got that listing for, let's say, 6 months. And you're trying to convince your seller that the property is overpriced. So, sometimes that's kind of hard to say to someone, well, you're charging too much money. So you figure, well, maybe the seller will realize after a while that no one wants to buy the property. And so it sits there and it sits there and it sits there. And you're trying to get them to go down, let's say, $25,000. So then the listing after 6 months doesn't sell. Then the seller says, well, I'm going to get another real estate agent to sell my property, but I'm going to list it this time for $25,000 less. Yeah, so now the new agent comes in, sells the property, but if you had listened to the first agent, you would have sold the property also, because now what you've done is you've changed the terms. So and you would have sold it and made more money, even if you're selling it for the same price. Now, how does that work? Because those 6 months that the property did not sell, you still got to pay the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance. So,
wait, you mean if I'm selling a condo and I'm selling the condo and it's empty, I got to still pay the HOA fees?
That's right.
Oh, some people don't know that.
They don't know that. While you're waiting to sell the property, you're still paying out all that money. So if you're paying out $2,000 a month while you're waiting to sell the property, 6 months later, you just paid out $12,000. So if you got an extra 12 because you waited, and you paid 12 because you had to wait, you're right back where you started from.
Exactly. People don't realize that you have to maintain the house while we're still trying to sell it for you. I mean, this winter, keep the heat on so the pipes don't burst. I mean, keep the grass cut. It's still maintenance. So think about it, the quicker you sell it, the quicker you can get rid of those fees, all those extra bills you got there.
Also, look at it this way. The quicker you sell it, the quicker the money's in your pocket. Now you could take that money and maybe put into another property before that property goes up in value. So it works two, 3, 4 ways in your benefit. Main thing that we're emphasizing here is that whenever you're selling a property, make sure you price it right. Price it to sell. Don't price it just because you feel as though you're going to hold out and get more, which you may, but in the end result, you had to pay out more too.
What it is, a lot of people, I mean, it's their house. People got emotional connections to their house. They've been there for their whole life, or maybe it was grandma's house, they inherited it. But they'll realize people on the outside aren't seeing that as grandma's house, they're looking at it as just another house. And they're looking at it compared to other houses. They're going to say, from the outside looking in, why should I pay you this much when you don't even have the heated bathroom floor this house has, or all the features, the underground, swimming pool, stuff like that. When you try to overprice a house, it's gonna reflect in what you attract.
Mm-hmm. So one way in which you can, make it easier on yourself is you can call us for what they call a market analysis.
Yes.
That's where we will come out, look at the house, and give you some suggestions as to what you can do to maximize the amount of money you're going to get back.
Tell them the caveat though. If we don't listen to us, the professional, we'll listen to the biggest professional, the bank. They're going to send an appraiser out there.
Right.
And he's going to really tell you what it's worth. And that might really hurt. Appraiser hurts some people's feelings out there.
That's the end result.
Yes.
Even if someone is willing to pay you all that money that you want, remember, the bank is still going to send an appraiser out before they give that person the money to buy your house. Now the appraiser, let's say, give you a good example. You got a house, it's really worth, let's say, $400,000. You want to sell it, someone's willing to give you $450,000. So you're all excited. Oh, I'm getting $450,000 for the house. So now they go to the bank, they say, oh, I'm buying this house, it's $450,000. The bank always sends the appraiser out to look at it. So the appraiser comes out and he says, okay, the house down the street sold for $375. This one here sold for $425, but that one's got 2-car garage and finished lower level. Your house doesn't have that. The house up the street, well, that one sold for $390. This one over here, which is almost exactly like your house, sold for $400. So now the appraiser is going to put all of that together. Now the appraiser is going to go back to the buyer's bank and say, this house is worth $400,000.
How about that?
And you're going to say, oh, but I want $450. So now the buyer's bank is saying it's worth $400,000. So now you have a choice. Either you say, okay, I'll sell it for $400,000, or you put it back on the market.
Or number 3, you go back to your buyers and say, hey, we have what we call an appraisal gap here, gap of $50,000. Would you be filling that gap with cash out of your pocket?
And then usually what happens is the buyer is going to say, why would I pay $450,000 when the bank is only telling me it's only worth $400,000?
Exactly.
If I go to sell it, I'm automatically losing money.
Exactly.
So now, and if you say, well, forget them, I'm going to put it back on the market and I'm going to sell it to the next guy for more money. Well, what happens is that in some cases, the mortgage companies, they all get together and they have an idea of what it appraised for the last time.
Well, what I also was going to say, if it was an FHA appraisal, it's going to stick with the house for 3 months.
That's right.
And if you have another FHA offer, they're going to have that appraisal to look at, and they're going to judge their house by that appraisal.
Exactly. People don't realize that. So you can get another mortgage company, but depending upon the type of mortgage that the new buyer gets, the new buyer's bank can look and see what the last bank said the house was worth. So you're stuck with that old value on the property.
Exactly.
So you got to be really careful because you want to, all this boils down to one thing again, price the house right so that the house will sell. And if you go way too far, it's not good. Even if you get an offer and get someone wanting to buy the house, that does not mean that you're going to be able to close the deal.
Exactly.
Because the bank may not give the people the money, and the appraisal may not come at that higher value. So
now, I was also mentioning, like you said, some people will say, well, my neighbor's house sold for this much, or down the street sold for this. How come mine wouldn't appraise? You gotta really look at the comparables. People, they look at the wrong things that they think adds value to a house. Like they may say, I have a jacuzzi tub. Well, this house has a whole attached garage. That's a lot more value than your jacuzzi tub. Or it has a back deck versus you have a front porch. You gotta really look at what people are looking for in a house to make it worth the value.
The other house may have more square footage.
Might be on a corner lot.
Might have a finished lower level. The basement made downstairs. May
How
have-
about this one? Did you know your house is in the flood zone? They'll say, well, I have a sump pump. Well, remember, when people are going to be buying your house, they're going to need extra insurance in order to qualify for your house. So at that point, you've already taken a level of buyers that can't afford your house because of the flood insurance.
You just hit a good point right there. You could look at, for example, the guy who sold the other house for more money, his house may be up the street from your house, but the house may be a little higher on the level.
No flood zone.
You're down at the bottom of the hill. Your house needs flood insurance. When you go, when the insurance company looks, well, that's going to cost you another $4,000 a year in insurance, and you're going to say, well, my house is better than that house up there, but the person buying your house has to buy that flood insurance.
Yes.
So now that makes your house sell for less money. There's a lot of reasons why one house sells for more money than the other house. You know, your house may be brick, the other one may be made out of, what do you call it, wood. You know,
might have electric heat versus
oh yeah,
central
there's
air.
another one.
We recently came across a house with electric heat.
Your house has electric heat. So therefore, the other house has gas heat. Maybe it's going to cost $200 a month to heat the other house, and it's going to cost $800 a month to heat your house.
And how about the biggest thing I've seen? A house recently in Stratford, they even admitted to it. The house has an underground oil tank. And they said it's still in use.
We need to talk about that one. That's another thing. We'll have to have a whole segment on what happens when you have underground oil tanks in the ground when you're trying to sell a house. So that itself. So again, what we're saying is that we're here to help you sell that house.
Yes.
Before you put the house on the market, or if you're interested in putting the house on the market, give us a call. We will come
Number's
out.
right there.
There's our number right there. We can give you some advice to put more money in your pocket, and on the other side, keep you from spending more money to sell it.
Exactly.
The main thing is to put more money in your pocket and also make it more attractive to the buyer.
Very true.
So again, maybe you want to close us out.
Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, don't just tune in. Go online. We're on demand. Catch up on some episodes, and we'll see you next week.
Until next week, God bless.
Amen.